Well, the National Foosball League regular season come to a close for the 2024-2025 season. Let's take a look at the highlights from the final regular season week. Started out with a forfeit from Columbus. This is actually the last game for Columbus, and they didn't even play in it. It'll be a different team next season. West Virginia into the playoffs, the 5th seed in the American Conference. As we take a look, Pennsylvania, being hosted by New England, and it's a tie game up to this point. Pennsylvania trying to get the top seed in the conference. With a win, they'd get it, and a win for New England would mean that they would host Tampa Bay in the playoffs. But then Pennsylvania put on a show in the second, earned a 5-goal lead, and now after that goal by Packer, and New England attempted to fight back, and they got it to a 3-goal deficit, but it wasn't enough for them as time ran out, and Pennsylvania clinched the top seed in the American Conference for the playoffs of the first week bye. So next time they'll play will be in 3 weeks against a to-be-decided opponent. Both of these teams had nothing to play for here. Atlanta and Kansas City, of course. Atlanta was in the hunt for a little bit, but they have been out of it as well. So both of these teams not really trying their best, although Atlanta did put on a pretty good show against their division rivals, and they were able to get the win to finish at 4-9, and it's Kansas City with one of their worst seasons ever at 1-12, with only one lone win this season as time ran out, and both these seasons came to a close. Let's take a look. Cape Cod and Tampa Bay game. Cape Cod already secured the number 2 spot. Tampa Bay looking for home field advantage. They'd be able to get it against New England with a win. If they lose, they would go over to New England. And a very good matchup here in Cape Cod. Cold conditions, but they both look like on their best. And many backups were in for Cape Cod, but their backups did play very well against a top-tier team. But in the end, Tampa Bay was able to win this one in overtime. So Tampa Bay will host New England in the postseason, and that'll be coming in 2 weeks. Of course, we'll take off next week to get ready for the playoffs. And Colorado will win here. They would secure the 5th seed in the playoffs. They're going up against division rivals New York. New York, have to give them credit for putting on a very good show tonight, and the best they've ever looked. May not make the postseason, but maybe they can carry some momentum into the season. But they won't carry in momentum from a win, even though it was a very good game. They still came up short in this one, as Colorado, even though it was one of their worst seasons they've ever had, really, in the modern years. Of course, they've been a top-tier contender, expected to be giving the top seed in the National Conference a run, but instead they'll have to settle for number 5, and I'm sure they're just happy to make it to the postseason, especially as this was a very close game against New York. Final score ended up being 5-6. It went to overtime. That is where Colorado was able to win it. So Colorado clinches the 5th spot, and they will wait to see in the Great Britain versus St. Louis game, which is coming up next. Whoever wins that one, Colorado will play, because they will get the number 2 seed. So let's head to that, which was originally supposed to be a marquee match, but due to technical difficulties, we're unable to air it. So winner here wins their division and gets the 2nd seed. Loser goes to the 4th seed. Great Britain strikes first against St. Louis, but then St. Louis immediately ties it back up. And then this one's in right. Multiple great attempts there by Stanchion. Baker hanging on strong as it goes to center, and then they get the goal. Great Britain takes the lead now. It's 2-1. And now it's in center. St. Louis able to win the battle. Puts a ton of pressure on Baker, and Moss, who's had an amazing season, gets the goal there. So now it's a tie game. St. Louis putting a ton of pressure on Baker once again. Have to give Baker credit. He still had a really good game. And with that goal by Moss, he's able to give his team the lead. So now, clears it to left. There's Smith trying to tie it up, and he's able to do just that. So now it's tied up at 3. St. Louis has control, putting pressure on Baker. They get the clear, and a goal from Great Britain. So now St. Louis scrambling. Time running down in the 3rd. Needing something. Now they're just scrambling now, trying to tie it up. Looks hopeless for them. And what a season St. Louis has had. Just look at this. Last minute goals. Unbelievable. And Moss does it again. His 3rd of the night. He might be the MVP. And I would have to imagine that he would be, especially for this team. That's all he's done. We're just going to show you the whole overtime. It didn't last long. right off the bat, St. Louis gets the goal and they win the division. So now they will go to the number 2 spot. They will face off against their division rivals, Colorado, and Great Britain will head over to Texas. So now both of these teams originally was expected for them to have a chance, but after Colorado's win, both teams are nothing to play for. They just seem to be playing around, having fun, with not much pressure up for grabs with them already out. Still some good shots overall. Both teams did seem to be enjoying themselves, even the losing side in the end of it, which was Los Angeles. But even in the very end, in this very high-scoring matchup, which was dominated by Las Vegas allowed Los Angeles to get the goal. Final score was 7-4 in this one. Really didn't affect much as time ran down. We head over to the final matchup of the regular season. Phoenix hosting Texas. Not much up for grabs. Both teams actually had their playoff secure, so these are just the backups playing in. Of course, Phoenix with the number 1 spot already clinched up to this point here at Waste Stadium. Texas still put on a good show here, even with their backs on. Both teams had a good show, and this was a very tightly contested matchup. As you can see, you can tell that backs were in, some mistakes on both sides. But still, good matchup. That one, that's definitely, you can tell right there. As it looked like he had the save, then it cleared, and then a few seconds later he gets the goal, which was the winning goal in overtime for Texas, so they get the win. Let's take a look at the final playoff picture. Of course, no teams in the hunt anymore. Pennsylvania and Phoenix, the division leaders, in second. Cape Cod and St. Louis in third. Tampa Bay and Texas in fourth. New England and Great Britain in fifth. West Virginia and Colorado, so in sixth. Atlanta and Las Vegas. In seventh was Los Angeles and Kansas City. And in eighth, Colorado and New York at the back of the barrel. So now let's take a look at the playoff bracket for the first time. Of course, those 6 teams now out of it. Pennsylvania and Phoenix both will have the first week bye, so in 2 weeks the playoffs will start. And West Virginia will head to Cape Cod, Colorado will head to St. Louis, New England will head to Tampa Bay, Great Britain will head over to Texas. All of these games will be marquee matches here on this channel. For the race to the Omega Bowl will begin. As you can see, the team with the lowest seed to advance will play the number 1 seeds. The team with the highest will go to the conference. So high stakes coming up next week. We're looking forward to it for the race to the 69th Omega Bowl. It will begin next week. Thank you for watching this highlight. This will be the last highlight video as we just head straight to the playoffs. And we will see you there. Stay tuned for the games for the race to the Omega Bowl.